My name's Andy Reid, and this is the Alchemicast right here on Alchemical Records, where we focus on musicians from the DMV area and give them a chance to highlight what they've been working on, what they got going on in the months to come, and any gigs and live streams on their calendars as we start to return to a new normal. With me today on the show, I have Marc 2Ray, a hip hop artist from the DMV, Washington, D.C. area, who has several hits, one of which is 1915, a song that's being used in schools to educate the youth. Please welcome Marc on the show. Marc, you are live on the Alchemicast. Marc, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay. How are you doing?
Hey, there we go. I'm doing great, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, how have things been going? What's up?
So things have been going well. Working on some new music, back in the studio, working on a couple new projects and getting ready to release some new songs too, which I'm very excited about.
Nice. How would you describe your style to our listeners? You're like a hip hop fusion. You got a lot of things going on with wordplay and the instrumentals and
Yeah, so I'm really big into like 90s hip hop, in terms of like the wordplay. I feel like as a hip hop artist, as a rapper, like your wordplay and your delivery and your timing, your cadence, all that is like your instrument. You might not necessarily produce the record or, like play an instrument, but like your words and your delivery, that is your instrument. So that's really important to me, um, as far as when I'm writing a song. And yeah, I mean, I like to write about things that are also really important to me, and a lot of that is sort of, some issues regarding like social justice, inequality, drug abuse. I mean, important, everyday sort of things that people deal with. I like to cover topics on that. And I call it sort of hip hop with a message, sort of aiming to educate and empower.
yeah. So I listened to your song 1915, which is used to educate the youth around the DMV area. And you're also an
Yeah.
educator. So it's interesting to see how, your life as a hip hop musician and your life as an educator are coming together and you're just creating something that has an impact. Can you tell us a little bit about 1915?
Yeah, so 1915 is a song about the Armenian genocide, which happened in 1915, which my grandfather actually survived. So early on, I knew I wanted to write a song about this, tell his story and the story of all Armenian survivors living in the diaspora and grandchildren of survivors. Um, so I released a song in 2015 on the 100th anniversary of the genocide. And since then, it's being used in a lot of high school and college curricula. I've presented it at schools. I've actually performed it at rallies, seeking justice for this crime against humanity in Times Square, LA, outside the White House. So I've been very fortunate enough to have a big impact with that song and help spread this important message to people.
And what an opportunity that you took charge of. In listening to the song, you definitely target some very strong and intense themes. What would you say are some of your influences, and how have they affected you as an artist?
Mm. So yeah, I mean, in that song, there's a lot of intense stuff going on, a lot of intense topics, and along with the narrative, I think one of the main inspirations for that song as not just being a song but also a voice of activism, is probably Serj Tankian, who is the frontman singer for System of a
Mhm.
Down. He's also Armenian. He has a very sort of System of a Down. They talk about a lot of heavy subjects as well, big into activism and away from music. He's actually very big into activism. So he's doing
Yeah.
lots of interviews talking about things, human crises, not just about the Armenian cause, but about many other causes. So he's sort of been an inspiration for me, as something that I can use my music as a vessel for spreading knowledge, which oftentimes in these situations, the perpetrator is the one with the power. So they spread the narrative that they choose. So it's very important to get the real message out there for people.
Yeah, Serge is a powerful voice in the music community. I followed his recent messages, I guess, messaging
Hmm.
about Armenia, and him and Tom Morello is another powerful
Uh-huh.
from Rage
Yeah.
Against the Machine. These are definitely voices to watch in the music community. So it's nice to know that someone like you is paying attention and also producing content to make an impact. So maybe something that our listeners would be interested to know is, how did you get into education, and where do you see your love of music tying into being an educator?
Yeah, so I've been working as a therapist for children on the autism spectrum for about 11 years now.
Hmm.
And I got into it just out of high school. I did my high school internship hours. You know, you have to do like community service hours and stuff. I did it interning with a program, a school that is operating for children on the spectrum. And they kind of offered me a job out of high school, and I took that and then furthered my education while I was doing that as well. And I've
Nice.
been working as a therapy center now for about the past 8 years now, and I just love it. I mean, it's great. I love having an impact, helping to bring out the most of everyone, and it's just a really enjoyable work. And that sort of really goes into my music, with the type of music I make. A lot of these songs have the potential to help educate, and getting it into school curriculum and presenting it is really just like second nature to me because I have so many connections in the educational field, know people at different schools, different programs, and working with kids has sort of prepared me for giving presentations and performances, for high schoolers and college students.
Maybe you could share one of your favorite memories of performing live or recording in the studio with us. As a musician from the DMV community, you know what it means to grow up in DC or Baltimore or Virginia, and how we all flock to music venues because we need it. We crave that music vibe. We crave that ability of others to create, and we need to be around it. So maybe you can share with us a favorite experience about a recent time in the studio or a recent gig.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, so I think probably one of my favorite times in the studio. There's a song on my latest album, Fresh Air, and called Back to Hip Hop, and the chorus on it, we have a crowd chanting hip hop. And there have been a couple times where I performed this song, and we tried to get like mics in the audience, different spots to get like an actual live recording sound of it. But there's just so much interference, other noise going on at venues, just couldn't quite be ideal. So I sort of recruited a whole bunch of my close friends and fans come out to District Sound Lab, just outside of in Bethesda, at the studio I was going to, and we recorded that there. And it was just a really cool atmosphere, sort of just like it was almost like a music video shoot. We're all just like chilling, performing the song, all group around us around the mic, and just recreating the sound. So it was really cool to get that perfect sound.
That's awesome. When you bring your friends together around something you love, you feel this energy start to build,
Exactly.
right? And when you play live, it's just a chance to share that energy with random people. Um,
Hmm.
when COVID hit, most of these venues shut down. So now that we're starting to return to a new normal, the venues are opening back up at some capacity and then
Sure.
eventually full capacity. What are some of your favorite venues or hotspots around the DMV area? I have a few,
Mm.
like, I love the Anthem or Union Station.
Okay.
I grew up playing at Jam and Java. I used to sneak out and go to the Velvet Lounge and play a gig
Uh-huh.
16-year-old. Maybe some open mics at Iota on
Hmm.
Wilson. I don't know. Villain Insane is probably closer to Bethesda for you.
Yeah. Yeah, Villain and Saint unfortunately didn't make it through 2020.
Yeah.
The COVID has hit a lot of venues hard. Um, yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of shows down on U Street. There's so many great venues there. I've done Pure, I've done Tropicalia. That's a really cool venue. Downstairs they have a nice, you could fit a good, 250, 300 people there. It's a nice sort of venue. I would love to do stuff, as you said, the Anthem's great, 930 Club is great, Fillmore is awesome. Um, Definitely looking forward to doing some stuff probably at Songbird.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of them. And then probably the Millennial Stage Kennedy Center. Definitely looking forward to
Really?
that.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, the Kennedy Center is a great venue. And
Hmm.
for musicians in the DMV to find that stage, the Millennium Stage, and get up there and play, it's huge. It's monumental. So
Yeah.
if you do ever get a chance, I will definitely be there and support you for
All
sure.
right. Word. Sounds good.
Yeah. So something that I like to do at this point in the show is, pan over to you and ask you just some questions in a way that we can call this or that.
Okay.
So I'm going to mention two different things, and you're just going to tell me this or that, and
Okay.
maybe a little bit about why you chose it. Does that make sense?
Okay. I think I get it. Yeah.
Okay. So to start, something easy would be like 9:30 or Black Cat.
Hmm. Probably this
Probably 9:30.
9:30. 9:30, I think.
And why would you say that?
So I just have a lot of sentimental connections to 9:30 Club. So like one of my really good friends of the family, he goes by the name of DJ Tommy B. He was like big into the punk scene in the DC in the 80s, like, hung out with Fugazi, knows all those
Yeah.
dudes. He was actually one of the first house DJs at 9:30 Club back when it was on 9:30, before it got moved. So like he is like had a lot of history there. So I've as a kid, he brought me out to a lot of shows. I kind of got in backstage. So I kind of had like a really cool experience growing up of like seeing like the behind the scenes of the 9:30.
Yeah.
So that has sort of a sentimental sort of resonance for me.
Hell yeah. That's cool. What about nachos or fries? This or that?
Probably that.
Probably
Fries are
fries.
fries are pretty bomb because they have, you have variety. You can put barbecue sauce, you can put ketchup. There's a lot of different ways to eat. It's not necessarily the same old, same old.
Yeah, that's true. What about Old Bay versus sea salt?
Old Bay. I'm from Maryland. I gotta say Old Bay.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
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 I'm a slave to Old Bay for sure. I think when you live in the DMV, it's either, you shoot up north and everyone puts Old Bay
yeah.
on everything, or you're down south and it's just like a lot of butter and salt.
True, true. Now, if you put Old Bay on fries, that's a winning combination.
Hell yeah. I like where your mind's at. That's a good call. Something we can move forward with might be water or ice, this or
Hmm.
that.
Probably this
Water. Why?
water. I don't know. I feel like water is just you need it, and sometimes like when I'm running, when I'm working out, like I don't got time to wait for ice to melt or be too cool. Water is the way to go for that for sure.
And that's the healthy alternative compared to the next question, which is beer or wine,
Hmm. Okay.
this or that.
Probably say wine. If I had
That.
to pick one. Because
Yeah.
beer, yeah, to be efficient, to actually get what you're looking for, a buzz, you need like 3 or 4 beers, and that's just so many calories. Wine is a little bit more to the point, got that sophisticated sort of aura to it as well.
Yeah. Do you have some favorite restaurants or breweries around the DMV that you'd like to name drop? I know one of my favorites is the Caboose in Vienna,
Okay.
and I think there's two locations. But going there, it's right on the WNOD biking trail, and so
Okay.
it's something like a biker bar, which is funny. So a bunch of
Oh,
cyclists
that's cool.
pull off and then just grab beers. So I'll plug the Caboose. Do you have a favorite one?
So I was really a big fan of Haleo in Bethesda,
Hmm.
which is like amazing. A tapas restaurant. They actually closed, but now they're being revamped by the same ownership, and it's called the Spanish Diner. And I recently went there, and it's pretty amazing. I've tried a few things on the item and on the menu, and everything's been amazing.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fiend for Mexican food as well as Thai or
Yeah,
occasionally I can get down with fries. I think my problem is probably potatoes.
yeah.
I can never have too many potatoes, so if there's a place that has good French fries or chips, like I'm there, definitely. So thank you for playing this or that. I wanted to ask you another question related to the DMV area, and I've asked all the bands and artists that have been on this show. This question, I don't want you to overthink it. I want you just to kind of
Okay.
whatever comes naturally. What does it mean to you to be a musician from the DMV?
Hmm. That's a good question. I mean, to me, it doesn't necessarily it means that for me that I have a good grounding. I think the DMV area is a very, supportive place. I've performed at so many different venues and had the opportunity to perform, and I never once felt like judged or any type of way. It's a very accepting sort of place, and people are just really interested to hear good art,
Yeah.
despite your background or what you look like or where you're from, like, they're just here for the jams. So I think it's a very nurturing sort of community for the music scene.
Yeah. And I find that, when I started as a 15-year-old, in the DMV music community playing at a venue called the Soundry, which was in Vienna. It's outside of Jam and Java and no longer exists.
Hmm.
I found that the musicians that I connected with were in the same boat as I am now, that they have a 9 to 5. They do something to support their passion and they give it their all. So, you're playing gigs on weeknights, you're taking what you can. And then when you play a venue, it's a big deal. You invite your friends, your family, your friends' friends, and you make a Facebook event and you make something out of it. So to me, being a musician from the DMV community is all about that community aspect
Yeah.
and how it just comes naturally or almost by instinct to just bring everyone together and just be like, hey, let's hang out and grab some beers. And oh, yeah, I'm going to play that song that I played for you in my car on my aux cord. Tell me if it's good or not. You know, I'm very privileged to be a musician in the DMV music community. And I'm sure that you realize and know and probably, maybe enjoy the fact that as a musician from DMV, we're always moving forward. And so as
Hmm.
venues are now starting to kind of open up and bring musicians back in, I feel like everyone's going to be excited about music again. What
Yep.
are some of your predictions for 2021 moving forward?
Well, I think there's going to be a huge surge in concert venues and stuff. I know Maryland, Montgomery County, where I'm sort of at, is sort of rolling it out at full capacity at the end of this month. So we'll sort of see. I think things are going to be picking up at some point soon. But I also think like the digital platform is also going to still remaining have such a big presence. I think people probably didn't realize they could do things until COVID sort of forced their hand and they said, okay, well, I don't have an audience now. But I have live stream. I have this many, Instagram followers, this and that. So now there's like a huge online digital footprint that everyone has sort of made. And it's sort of a blessing in disguise that everyone had to shift gears and put their focus on a digital footprint. Cause that for me is like, I dropped my album Fresh Air at the top of 2020, like in January. And I had this whole release plan. I was going to do stuff, a reoccurring thing at Songbird. There was like Millennial Stage at Kennedy Center in the works. Like it was all based around live performances and plugging and performing this album for people. And then COVID happened, shut down in mid-March. And that really just like threw a monkey wrench in everything. So I had to like totally redo this, album push. And I like ended up working with a PR person, building up my Spotify, plays, getting verified, working on my digital footprint. And now it's like I have a digital platform where I can share music to a lot more people, in a lot of different areas across the world, not just who I could immediately perform for in my vicinity. So, now I'm in a better position for the next project I drop. So, I think it's digital is going to remain having a heavy imprint as well, though.
As a musician, how do you use social media to get an advantage?
Well, I think one of the main things is just being consistent about it. When you have a project coming out, like, be consistent about it. Be posting about it constantly. Not the same thing to have it be repetitive, but just to always have it be sort of there and be present. And then also engage with the fans, engage with people commenting, always reply, get a little bit of knowledge about them, find out what they're interested in. Maybe if you have a song that, goes along with something that I mentioned, pass it along to them. And that's one of the things that I found is like the algorithms for like your Facebook followers or Instagram followers. It's like if you engage with them or they comment on your page and you reply, like they're much more likely to see your stuff in their newsfeed again.
Yeah.
So it's just, you're doing them a courtesy of engaging with them and thanking them for supporting your art, but also it's helping you out because they're going to see you more frequently.
For budding musicians around the world, but especially in our community, do you have any advice on what they could do or actions they could take in order to be a well-known and monumental musician in the DMV community?
I would say the best bit of advice I can give is find a good team around you. Not necessarily a team that's working like for you, but a team that's working, that you're working with. If you have a good friend who's, a producer or a dope musician, guitarist, or bassist, work with them. If you have someone who's a dope videographer or photographer, work with them, help them out, with some of their shoots, they can help you out, because that's one of the things is like if you find people who can make dope content and create in different ways that you can create, you guys can work together on projects, and really build. And that's something that I found is you can help elevate each other and then you all have great content to put out.
Yeah, and we're all in this together. We're all trying to
Exactly.
each other up. And anyone that doesn't see that obviously isn't anyone we want to be around.
True.
Man, thank you so much for your time and coming on the show tonight. I really had a great conversation with you and feel like I know you a little bit better.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. I definitely appreciate it.
It is at the very end of this conversation that I'm going to ask you one last question. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Is there anything else you'd like our listeners or people at home to know?
Well, if you'd like to find any of my music, you can find it all at www.marc2ray.com. That's MARC2RAY, or at Marc 2Ray on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. I have my album Fresh Air, along with several other singles, and I'm getting ready to release a new EP. So please feel free to check it out. Check out some of the music videos and let me know what you think.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Marc. Really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And for all of our viewers out there, definitely check out Marc and listen to him on Spotify and wherever else you can find music. My name's Andy Reid, and this has been the Alchemicast right here on Alchemical Records. Marc, thanks so much, man. Have a good night.
Thank you. Peace and love.
Yo, here we go, on the floor, gonna hit this mic and rip it tight. Spit it right for y'all delight, and I can do this all night. Alright, verbally murdering's what's occurring, never slurring with my wording, and I'm yearning to be learning all types of music. I didn't even choose it, but I'll do everything I can to make sure I never lose it. In 95 when I was 5, I heard ready to die. Now I'm writing rhymes on my grind, and I'm ready to shine. Yeah, and I'ma keep on going till I drop. Put your hands high, never stop, reaching for that top. To my last words, I'll be dope with all them adverbs. I'ma tear the building down like them fucking mad birds. Rap has been my dream, even when I was bad at it. Took me lots of practice, but I got it like mathematics. In lyrical substance, yeah, all these raps have it. So now I'm passing competition just like fast traffic. I'm the rap maverick, breaking bad habits. Most top 40 songs are all just mad vapid. Promoting mass static with all the whack tactics. My brain's in the game, and I got a fast static, straight killing it now. They're frantic with manic panic, I'm just doing my thing while taking their demographic. And there's never been a king, it's always been democratic. It's who the fans want, so make sure your demo's classic. Music over money, I yell it to the grave. Fuck the top 40, I'll never be a slave. All about getting plays, not just getting paid. Everybody jamming to this music I made. Like music over money, music over money, mama, music over money, music over money, music over money. I yell it to the grave. Fuck the top 40, I'll never be a slave.
Hold up, let me get some roll up. The public nice to know ya, always got some good to show ya. I'm smoking bamboo, to me this shit is kosher. I'm just doing what I do. I see the game a little closer now. They think they got me figured out. My doodle ball is rolling now. They say I'm heating up. I told them I'm colder now. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, homie. Ain't nobody fooling. Yeah, I could be in quarter in the cut, but I'm still cooler. Yeah, funny how it's came to be, and still I just remain a G. That's how I've always been. Why change? 'Cause I can stain the beat. The shit is in my veins, feeling good. I can't complain. Yeah, this weed is in the air. I know they feel just what I'm saying. They see the bricks and how they land. He sick, you see his band. Yeah, they deserve a hand. I had to tell my mans and them. Yeah, and the panda that was with him had some shoes I ain't never seen before. Yeah, this man I had a panda with her. Should've seen it, y'all. I mean it though. Seen him at a party about a week ago. Playing craps, first row holder, 3 or 4. Picked up the cash flow. Then he hit the dough. Yeah, slicker and some Crisco. The shit was off the rip, bro. Yeah, you could tell in his eyes that he had it from the get-go. Yeah, with French toast in my trench coat. Well, I'ma do this for my friends and my kinfolk.
Music over money, I yell it to the grave. Fuck the top 40, I'll never be a slave. All about getting plays, not just getting paid. Everybody jamming to this music I made. Like music over money, music over money, mama, music over money, music over money, music over money. I yell it to the grave. Fuck the top 40, I'll never be a slave. Yeah, music over money. Yeah, like I got my mind on my music and my music on my mind. Got my mind on my music and my music on my mind. Got my mind on my music and my music on my mind. Like, hey.